I did want to take a few minutes to talk about the latest piece of, I guess I'll call it Knicks scuttlebutt. I don't even really feel comfortable calling it scuttlebutt. So Brian Windhorst, this was, I guess, 2 days ago, as you're listening to this on Monday, went on one of ESPN's many programs and they were talking about the Knicks as part of the segment, and they brought Windy in, and he mentioned that the Knicks had kicked the tires on Walker Kessler, which has been well documented and we know all about.
Let's keep an eye on what they do from a trade standpoint as the season goes along. There's already been some connection between them and Walker Kessler with the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are difficult to make a deal with. They have very high asks, but it's possible Walker Kessler could change teams, and he fits nicely about what the Knicks want to do. Also, I would say Robert Williams from Portland. I would say any team looking for a center is going to watch Robert Williams closely this year. After the Blazers drafted Donovan Clingan and they've got DeAndre Ayton, who's probably not very tradable on their roster, I don't know where Robert Williams fits, and I think the Knicks will be among the teams monitoring him. So as the season goes along, Zach is absolutely right. We'll see Julius Randle and his role in that contract be a topic, but on the court, how that center position goes is going to be a big topic from week to week as they try to get going.
It's always entertaining when something like this comes out and you go on various forms of social media and you see, Knicks interested in Robert Williams. Well, no, actually, that's not what was said. It was that the Knicks would be a logical team to check in on Robert Williams if and when the Blazers make him available, and I'm sure they will at some point. Look, I'm not going to poo-poo this report completely. I just want to at least take it at face value and not put more on it than it is. Robert Williams makes sense in a lot of ways for the Knicks. He also doesn't make sense in other ways. We'll get to those in a minute, but immensely talented player, plays the sort of defense, certainly, that Tom Thibodeau has always asked of his centers. When Robert Williams has been healthy, he has played at that level, or played that level of defense at an elite level or close to an elite level. And the nice thing about Robert Williams is he gives you a little bit more on the offensive end that Mitchell Robinson does not. He's not, Robert Williams is not, Isaiah Hartenstein out there in terms of the sorts of passes that he could make. But this is a guy who in his, not last season with the Celtics, but his second to last season with the Celtics, the season where he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, averaged 2 assists a game in 30 minutes, which is not bad for a center. He can do some things. His range extends a little bit further outside of than just the restricted area. He's an exceptional player when he's on the court. And I think that is one of the two main takeaways here, why I would not be so quick to run and order a custom-made Robert Williams Knicks jersey, because the whole reason why the Knicks are looking potentially to add another big man to their roster is because their current big man is someone who, over the course of his 6 seasons in the NBA, has played in 320 games for an average of roughly 54 games a year. Well, do the math. If Mitchell Robinson plays, 50 or 55 games this year, the Knicks might be in some degree of trouble, because he's the only really, I feel bad saying he's the only proven center on the roster, because I think Precious Achiuwa has proven himself as an NBA player. Whether he's a guy that you want playing 30 minutes a night at center over a 15 or 20 or 25 game span is a different story. So let's just, for argument's sake, let's say that Mitch is the only proven NBA center. And he has had some injury issues over the course of his career, including playing only 31 games last year and injuring himself in the playoffs. And he didn't finish the Pacers series healthy. 320 games in 6 seasons. Robert Williams has also played 6 seasons in the NBA, and in those 6 seasons, he has played in 215 games. So more than 100 games fewer, more than 100 fewer games than Mitchell Robinson, including in the last 2 years, 35 games in his last season with Boston, and 6 games with the Portland Trailblazers last year. Now, you want to talk to me about maybe there was some tanking chicanery involved and Robert Williams sitting out some games that he didn't need to sit out. I'm not plugged in enough with the Blazers to know whether or not that's the case. I do know that this is a guy who, forget about staying healthy and on the floor, like just being available for games. When he is available for games and when he is healthy enough to play, it's not even like he plays a ton of minutes. Over his 6 years, Robert Williams has played more, or has averaged more than 24 minutes a game exactly one time. The year Boston went to the finals, played in 61 games, he averaged 29 minutes a night. That's it. His next highest minute total is last year in Boston when he averaged 23 and a half minutes a game, only started 20 out of 35 games. And then last season in the 6 games he appeared in, he only averaged 19 minutes because DeAndre Ayton's also on the team. At least Mitchell Robinson has shown you that when he's healthy, you could send him out there for 25, 30 minutes and, it's okay. You don't have to worry about him wearing down or breaking down or any of those sorts of things. His injuries, I'm still kind of a little bit of a Mitch apologist. I think his injuries have been a little bit more, not freak injuries, but I get the numbers are what they are. I feel a little bit queasy slapping the injury prone label on Mitch. But I'll tell you this, if you slap it on Mitch, you got to slap it doubly so on Robert Williams. Now, does that mean Robert Williams isn't going to be a trade candidate for the Knicks? No. If he comes out of the gate and, well, actually, I don't even think he's going to be healthy out of the gate. Let's just say at some point he plays in games and he seems to be able to stay healthy, and makes an impact and looks like some version of the guy that last played for the Celtics in terms of really hashtag meaningful minutes. I think the Knicks will absolutely be interested. And they would look at it as a roll of the dice where, hey, if this guy could actually stay on the court and we could get back to 48 minutes of elite rim protection, elite defense, maybe Robert, Time Lord gives us a little bit extra on the offensive end. Well, that's a great situation to be in. The other problem, and this is the second thing that I was referencing earlier, comes in what you have to give up. Because Robert Williams makes this year $12.4 million. The Knicks, as we know, cannot take back more salary in a trade than they send out. So they would have to send out more than $12.4 million, which means, practically speaking, because you can't combine minimum salaries and use that to make up the salary difference in a deal, you're talking about sending out Deuce McBride, in addition to Precious Achiuwa and a minimum contract. And there's your Robert Williams trade. So right off the bat, putting aside what else Portland might ask for, maybe one of the Knicks protected picks, maybe multiple second round picks, whatever the case is, in terms of what they want in draft assets, you're talking about giving up Deuce. Now, I'm not going to sit here and redo the whole Deuce McBride, should the Knicks be looking to trade him for a backup center or not conversation. It's a long one and we'll have it another day. Are they set up to withstand the loss of a Deuce McBride? Yeah, they probably are pretty well set up for that. Does it mean they should be giving him away for a guy who might not be able to stay on the court? I'm not so sure, to say nothing of Achiuwa. The other option, of course, is to just trade Mitchell Robinson for Robert Williams straight up, which again brings me back to point number one. Even if there is a scenario where at the start of the year, Mitch gets hurt and is out for some period of time and Robert Williams is healthy, I mean, you're still kind of rolling the dice. And yeah, I mean, look, conversation, who's better when at full health, Mitchell Robinson or Robert Williams? I'm not going to say 6-1, half dozen the other. I think Mitch has a more proven track record, even if Robert Williams has certainly hit the higher ceiling. At his best, Robert Williams has been better than Mitchell Robinson has been at his best. Again, the guy finishes runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. Seventh in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Seventh in Defensive Player of the Year. He was all defense second team. I got that a little mixed up. He's very good. He's a very good player. So I don't think the Knicks would do that. I don't think the Knicks are giving up Mitch just to get another guy with the same injury issues. And so it comes down to trading multiple parts of your team that are meaningful parts of your team, hashtag meaningful, for a guy who's an injury risk, plus whatever else Portland wants. Is there a world where the Knicks do it? Is there a world where the Knicks look at a guy or Robert Williams and say, if he could stay on the floor, that's the difference between us beating Boston and not beating Boston? Again, Time Lord little bit more switchable, certainly, than Mitch. I don't know. I wouldn't be holding my breath on this one. I do not think this is something that the Knicks. I shouldn't say. Never say never. I would be surprised if this is something that the Knicks really looked at seriously before the season started. I say that more because, and Fred Katz has said some version of this on this show as well as his podcast. Shout out to Katz and Shoot. I don't think they're going to look to do anything before the season starts. I think they want to see what they have on their roster. I think they want to see how Precious looks as the backup center. I think they want to see how Jericho Sims maybe looks in a few spot minutes if Mitch has to sit out some time. I think they want to see how Mitch looks in his minutes that he has. So lots of variables here. The trade configuration part is a big part of it. The injury part is a big part of it. The one nice thing I'll say about Time Lord is it's a fair cost. It's a fair number. $12.4 million for a guy of this level of talent is not a lot. And next season he only makes a little bit more than that, 13.28. So that's good. Until we get a little bit into the season, though, I'm not sure there's much to talk about.